Mushrooms. There are many different variations of mushrooms. We got the super mushroom, the 1-up mushroom, the mini mushroom, the mega mushroom, and many more. But today we're gonna be talking about a very special type of mushroom, a type that requires some extra methods to acquire. We're gonna be talking about magic mushrooms. Ingesting some magic mushrooms will have you getting sent to either Neverland or into the depths of the backrooms depending on the mindset you have going into it. At the end of the day, it's a gamble. You might experience a good trip or an absolute horrible trip that will have you shaking in your boots after. But enough of me rambling. This is the first time I did magic mushrooms. This story is for comedic and educational purposes. Susan, let me have this one, please. Okay, so this occurred during the summertime, and my friends and I have already been planning this out for a few weeks beforehand because we wanted to try what mushrooms would feel like while heading over to a park. So Stanley acquires the goods and notifies the group chat, and we pick a date to try them. So the next day comes and I head over to my friend Gabe's house, and we both walk together to our homie Rayhart's house, and we were talking about what it was gonna feel like. I say to Gabe, yo bro, today's gonna be so crazy, man. And he says, yeah, I'm kinda excited, low-key. We're about to have so much fun today. We had absolutely no clue what was in store for us. So we arrive at Rayhart's place and we head on over to the dinner table to play some Jenga with Stanley and Rayhart because they were already playing before we got there, and our friend Ethan arrived shortly after we did. So we got the entire Scooby-Doo gang together and Stanley showed us all the mushrooms, and man did they look unappetizing. They looked like a shriveled up rotten mushroom way past its expiry date. So I asked Stanley, yo bro, what kind are these? And he says, these are called albino wiener envy. And I'm like, wiener? Bro, why would they name it that? They're named that because they're shaped like a peanut. But yeah, Stanley then tells me to smell the Ziploc bag, and I do. So I take a good whiff of the bag. Oh, ew, what the hell? It smells like cheesy feet. And my guy starts laughing. Bro, they smell like some crusty feet. Don't ask me how I know. Okay, so we planned to take them beforehand, so when we arrived at the park, it would already take effect. So we all took a mushroom and weighed it on the scale, and I took around 1.3 grams. The rest of them used honey to help it go down, but I was like, screw it, man, I'm a raw dog it. So I just straight up ate the mushroom, and the best way I could describe it was a bitter taste with a hint of some sort of tree nut with the texture of soft wood chip. It was nasty. I thought I was about to throw up eating it. But we finished eating and we started heading out towards the park. So we're waiting at the streetcar stop for around 10 minutes. The streetcar arrives and we hop on and sit down. So we're chilling on the streetcar for around 10 minutes, and then I start to feel weird. I felt like I couldn't act normal and I began to feel nauseous. It started to kick in for all of us. I felt like my head was heavy and the colors of everything around me were really bright. I began to just wave my arms side to side, and it just amazed me that I could move it. And then I touched my face and it felt like my face was made out of clay, like I was some clay statue of some sort. I felt as though I was just a consciousness just existing in this meat suit that we call our body. It was really weird. It was like I felt as if I wasn't real. And then Gabe gets a snap from a friend and he shows it to us, and it was like a demonic goat, and it made me scared, so my body jumped a little. Bro, when you're tripping, every emotion that you feel gets amplified. Like when I saw that goat, it just stood out more as compared to everything around. It was just staring at me menacingly. But then Ethan out of nowhere starts laughing out loud like a maniac, which triggered all of us to start laughing like maniacs too. And the streetcar was not empty at all, so there were random people just staring at us, all laughing like we're crazy. After what felt like an eternity, we finally make it to the park. But as we hop off the streetcar, it started to rain like heavy. Like it was pouring, bro. We did not check the weather forecast beforehand, so we're like, screw it, bro, we're already here. So we began to walk down the park in the pouring rain, and it was beautiful, man. The water felt so nice trickling down my skin, and I just felt so alive and in the moment. I was smiling a lot and was taking in all of the nature and rain around me. I looked up at all the tree branches above me and the raindrops falling from the sky, and it just looked so cool and beautiful, man. It was like I was in a cinematic scene from a movie. At one point, I just started screaming towards the forest because it just felt nice to scream and let out all your bottled up emotions at once. We began to head off trail and head deeper into the forest. While walking, I would periodically stop and look at the trees, plants, and mud around me because nature was just so fascinating and interesting. I walked further ahead with Ethan, and suddenly I feel like I was losing my mind, and my head felt like it was trembling, or like there was a mini earthquake inside of my mind. A lot of jumbled up emotions all hit me at once. Like it felt like I was experiencing one of those scenes in movies where the psychopath loses loses their mind and starts laughing and breathing uncontrollably. It was such a surreal feeling. So we find a chill spot with some logs and chill there. Dude, I was staring at the mud and it was breathing and moving, man. It was so crazy. To help give you guys a sense of visuals, look at your stomach as you breathe in and out and imagine the same movement happening on the dirt on the ground. That's my best way of trying to explain the movement of the mud. But yeah, I felt like the nature around me was alive and the very ground I was walking onto, like on some Greek mythology Gaia type stuff. I felt like I began to understand everything at this point, and I was thinking about the indigenous people and their culture, and I was understanding why they value the land and nature so much. We then take a seat on the logs and I turn my attention towards the base of a nearby tree and I see part of a reptile's face. It was staring directly at me and it just looked so cool. It looked like the Joji Glimpse of Us cover art. I then picked up a nearby stick and started looking at each minute detail like I was some plant expert of some sorts, because it just looked so cool looking at stuff very close up. I noticed details in the stick that I typically wouldn't notice if I were to do the same thing sober. It was kind of like I was looking at the stick through a Minecraft ray tracing shader lens. And it was freaking moving, so that just made it 10 times cooler to look at. We then begin to leave and we head towards a fence to hop over, but as I was heading towards the fence, I saw a frog hopping in the nearby grass and I was screaming, "Yo, frog! I just saw a frog! Yo!" I was so hyped seeing that frog like I've never seen one in my life. But we hop over the fence and walked along the trail towards the duck pond. While walking down the trail, I was looking at the trees and I swear to God, I saw a bunch of faces on the trees. It looked so cool, man, but it was also a bit unsettling. We reached the duck pond and we sit down. At this point, the rain died down, and while we sat down, me and Sammy saw a huge pile of peanut shells on the rocks we were sitting on. And I say, "Yo, bro, why is there just a pile of peanuts on the rock?" And Sammy says, "Yo, man, I don't know, man. Who put them there?" We were dying of laughter just looking at the pile of peanut shells because it was just so random. So we start leaving the pond and we head towards the park zoo, and we're trying to find the capybaras because the zoo said there would be capybaras, but they lied. We looked everywhere and all we got to see was big doo-doos that came from the donkeys, and it smelled bad. We then walk towards another animal enclosure and we see this goat at the top of the rock on a hill just posted up there, and he just looked so majestic and cool up on that hill. For some reason, when looking at the goat, I started thinking about LeBron James, which made me start laughing, and Sammy says to me, "Do you think the goat is self-aware that it looks so cool and awesome up there?" And I say, "Probably not, man. It's probably part of his daily routine to stand at the top of the hill and just stare at people. It probably wants to escape." Whoa, maybe you're right. So we're just looking at the goat for a good while, and Ethan starts getting hungry and we start heading towards the pizza place. But as we were walking, Steven calls us and he's like, "Yo, where you guys at?" We're at the entrance of the park near a big tree. Say less. So we're waiting for Steven to arrive, and like 20 minutes later he gets here, and at this point our trip starts to mellow down and Steven takes a mushroom to begin his trip. So now we start walking again towards the pizza place and we order 2 large pizzas and devour them like we're the Ninja Turtles. And we head back into the park because there was this huge hill at the park by the lake that we were trying to head towards. While walking, we saw a coyote and me and Rayhart started heading towards it, but a random dude walking his dog told us, "Don't chase it!" So we didn't. Hey, bro was looking out for us. Props to him. So after like 30 minutes of traversing the park's huge forest, we finally arrived at the lake and we saw like 8 squirrels all together near a tree, and Sammy pulled out a bag of pistachios and we started feeding the squirrels. It was nice and therapeutic feeding animals, especially as we were all slowly becoming sober, except Steven, he was feeling it all. And after that, we headed towards this wooden plank by the lake and watched these middle-aged dudes fish for around 30 minutes. And then we saw the clouds begin to get darker and we saw flashes of lightning in the sky. So we were like, "Welp, time to go." And we started heading out of the park. As we were heading out of the park, it started to pour, man. And we were stranded under these trees. So we had to make a choice to either wait it out under the trees or run across the road towards the bus stop. But then it started to rain even harder, so we're like, "Screw it, bro, go!" And we're all running through the rain all the way towards the bus stop, but we went to the wrong one, so we had to run back into the rain. And as we got to the correct bus stop, the bus was already arriving, so we perfectly timed it. So we hop on the bus and we're supposed to pay, but the bus driver saw all of us just drenched from the rain, so he understood the situation and we headed towards the back. Now we're all drenched and exhausted, just chilling at the back of the bus while blasting music from a speaker and just talking talking with each other about how crazy and eventful this day was. And I sleep a little on the bus because we walked like a marathon that day. So we get to our stop and hop off the bus and head towards Rayart's place, and we chill there for a little bit, and me, Steven, Gabe, and Ethan walk home together. The second I got home, I took a nice hot shower and proceeded to KO on my bed. So yeah, this was my first time doing Mario mushrooms. Overall thoughts is that it was really fun and opened my mind to a lot of things I took for granted, like nature and life in general. Moral of the story is to go touch some grass, people. Like, you see the stick, bro? It looks so cool. Like, look at it. Look at it. Hold up. I just want to address something. I just want to let you guys know that I read my comments, and in my Vape Addicts video, I saw that I was being flamed for calling it a washroom instead of a bathroom. You know what I have to say for that?
At least our schools are not like the Call of Duty!
Join the Discord and follow my socials.